Shalom, shalom, shalom. Welcome to yet another edition of our online teachings. Today is very short, and today we are going to be talking about altars. What is an altar? An altar, one is a physical place where humanity interacts with divinity, where God meets human beings, where demons also interact with people. There are two kinds of altars, a godly altar and a demonic altar. And at both places, there is an interaction, a connection, a communication and a communion between a human being and a spirit for a specific outcome or a result. So, like I said, that an altar can exist in two forms. As a physical place, like if you are a Zimbabwean, you know mountains and places and trees where people go and do interactions with demons, with spirits. Kwavanonoendesa doro remvura remukwerera riya oro pavanoenda kunoomberera midzimu kana masvikiro enzvimbo, whatever, that's an altar. That place is an altar. Kana kuri kumusha kuhuva kuya kunoiswa fodya nehwahwa kana muchideketera midzimu, that place is an altar. It becomes a transmitting point where you can transmit messages into the spirit realms and speak to demons, where demons can also come down and meet you at that place. And then the second altar that I want you to understand is in the form of a gift, an offering, or a sacrifice that you give to a spirit. So I can have an altar today in the form of money, in the form of a car, in the form of anything of value that I can use as a point of communication, as a booster for communication between me and the spirit that I want to interact with. It can be God or it can be the devil. What I want you to note is altars speak. In your silence, altars speak. And depending on the size of the altar, that determines the volume of the altar speaking against you or for you. That then brings us to the issue where you and I must know that what was started by an altar can only be stopped by an altar. And what was started on an altar can only be stopped on another altar. So when there is an altar speaking against marriage, you must also have an altar speaking for marriage. And that altar has to be louder than the other altar. And how do you make your altar louder than the other one? It has to be bigger. It has to be bigger. I can give you examples of altars that spoke or that speak. In the book of 2 Samuel chapter 24, from verse 24 to 25, we see David building an altar and sacrificing oxen on that altar. And he then goes home without saying a word. And the Bible says, and God heard his prayer. Meaning to say, an offering, a sacrifice, an altar is a form of prayer, is a form of communication, is a form of a message to the spirit world or to God. So altars speak to God. Altars can speak to spirits. So when your forefathers interacted with demons, brewing beer and killing cattle for them, they were raising altars that are against a certain lifestyle, either riches, either flying or getting married, whatever it is. So today, if you want to overturn that, if you want to overcome that, you have to then have an altar on the other side, on the side of God, that is speaking for you louder than the other altar. Let me show you something in the book of Judges, chapter 6. Because most people tell you this is Old Testament stuff. You don't need to do that these days. We are in the dispensation of grace. If you are in the dispensation of grace, why are you not married? Why are you still seeking the dispensation of grace? Why are you still poor in the dispensation of grace? Why are you facing trouble and problems in the dispensation of grace? And why do you still need to pray in the dispensation of grace? Because there are people who misinterpret the whole thing about grace, and the grace only means that when you pray, you are going to win. When you raise an altar, you are going to win. That's the grace part of the whole equation. Many will say when Jesus went to the cross, he is the biggest altar, and he said it is finished. Yes, it was finished at the cross. Why are your problems not yet finished? When it is finished, it was finished. He said it is finished. Why are your problems not finished? So don't misinterpret scriptures. What was said by Jesus when he said it is finished, he was saying all those that follow principles, protocols of the spirit realm will never again suffer. It is finished. So if you don't follow principles, you will suffer. Your problems will not finish, even though it is finished. Today we still have people in the book of Isaiah. It is said in Isaiah 53, by his stripes we were healed. But when Jesus actually came, he was busy healing people. They were not healed. What is the meaning of that scripture? It is saying, if you go to him, everything that is troubling you will become history, because it was determined way back. So our victory was determined on the cross, but we need to do something, and something right. Let me read. It says in chapter 6 of Judges, chapter 6, it says in verse 24, so Gideon built an altar to the Lord there and called it, the Lord is peace. Every altar has a name. So you can take money today, proper money, proper money. You don't say this is called altar for marriage and you put $1. Whenever you want to do an altar, just put it in your mind. Kuti akanditadzisa kuroorwa akamboenda nemari, anogona kunge akaenda nemari. Hakuna munhu anoenda kung'anga nedhora otadzisa dzinza rese kuroorwa. Hakuna munhu anoenda $5 kung'anga okutadzisa kuroorwa for the past 5-10 years uchinamata. Never. Forget about that. I saw people bringing $1, putting $1, 50 cents, $3, and I was laughing. Do you think hama yako iri kuenda $3 kung'anga? Who does that? Have you ever been to a sangoma? Tichikura, we used to interact a lot with sangomas. You don't, the least that you can pay a sangoma with is a goat. So imagine what you are fighting against, an altar yakazara mbudzi, yakazara mombe, yakazara whatever, and you are fighting it with $1 that can't even buy an egg. And many people are always asking him, man of God, I'm praying, nothing is changing. Vari kuita zvemashavi, vari kutobudirira, vari kumucha kwedu, this lady ari kuita zvemishonga anotorera murume. Yes, I can tell you kuti those people do not joke with their spirits. They don't joke with the devil. They don't go to the devil with $1. They don't raise altars, nema $3, nema $5. They don't do that. They are serious. That's why the other side can sacrifice vana. That's a level rekuziva kukosha kwe the spiritual altar. Anotaura kuti mwana urayai mwana kana 3 ndite mari. And what are you doing? What are you prepared to put on the altar? $1. $1 as an altar. Forget about winning. I am telling you, and I'm not telling you from knowledge, I'm telling you from experience. Before I started altars, I was poor. When I started altars, I can allude to that dream that I shared in the group. That's when I began to fight wars. I remember in one of the dreams, I saw a red gonzo. And that red really 3,000 years old. And rats in the spirit represent the spirit of poverty and lack. And I killed every other rat until I tried to kill the mother one. I failed. And I knew what I needed to do. I took an altar. I remember then it was around 2008, 2009, I think. It was $300. I went and deposited as an altar against poverty. I gave it a name, Victory Over Poverty Altar. Immediately that very night, I faced the rat again and I killed it, and things changed immediately. Poverty went away. Poverty was defeated. Meaning to say, the foundational altar of poverty in my family, in my bloodline, was started by something, either number 2 or 3 at the foundation. And I defeated that foundation. I changed it. And things changed for everyone, not me. Everyone in the family. Let me go down. To this day, it stands in Ophrah of the Abiezrites. That same night, the Lord said to him, take the second bull from your father's head, the one 7 years old. Altars are specific. There isn't a specific amount. You can ask God, what do I need to put on the altar? Imagine God is saying the 7-year-old bull. Iye kuti yawanzwa kuda iri comfortable kuti wine $300 unotora dora woisa pa altar uri kuda marriage. Chinondishamisa most of the time ndechekuti munhu aisa $5 ukazomunzwa zvaari kutarisira kuti zvibude pa $5, you wonder kuti uyu munhu anotoziva zvinhu zvikuru, sei atadza kuziva zvinhu zvikuru pa altar. Most of them, baba kwedu kune nyaya yemamarriage, so I want marriage. Baba kwedu kune nhau yechirwere chediabetes, I want the diabetes to end. Baba kubasa kwangu handisi kutambira, nda kuwedzerwa pay pa altar yedola. Iko kana kutsvenyira kwacho, why are you doing that to your God? Because kune zvimwe zvinhu zvinonzi mockery and insult kuna Mwari. Uchidhimanda kana kudhimanda big results from nothing. So it says, tear down your father's altar to Baal and cut down the Asherah pole beside it. Look at this. Gideon, the background of this, Gideon was trying to reverse what was happening. He was trying to stop what was happening. And the Lord is giving him a prescription of stopping the problems that were happening in his life. He is saying, destroy the altar that is sponsoring what you are going through, the altar behind what you are seeing happening in life, and the altar that is behind what is not happening. The Lord had said, you are going to get victory. The Lord had said, Gideon, you are a mighty man of valor. Gideon, you are going to harvest. But before you can be able to harvest, stop what is stopping you from harvesting. And it's called an altar. How do you stop an altar? You build another altar, bigger and more blessed than the one. So if you want to stop anything that you have failed to stop with words of prayer, go for an altar. Just like David did in 2 Samuel chapter 24. He never uttered a word, but according to the Bible, God heard him speak. How was he speaking? He was speaking through an altar. That's why today you have witches that died, but the witchcraft did not die. It's because they raised altars against you and said, I give 3 cattle, I give 7 cattle, so and so will never get married. And you are not married because you have never given 8 cattle yourself. I'll give you another example. One day, a lady came, 8 years into marriage, no child. And do you know what had happened? An old lady had taken a chicken to a Sangoma, a relative, and said, Sangoma, lock a womb. I'm giving you this chicken. and her womb was locked by an altar of a chicken, which is $10. And for 8 years, she never took $10 to church. And for 8 years, she suffered because of 10 USD. Do you know what I did when I saw her? I said, woman, your womb is closed by a chicken. Give me a chicken now. And she gave me 20 US dollars and started bleeding immediately. 3 weeks down the line, she was pregnant. After 8 years of blockade by a chicken. So you have to understand altars. And starting from now going forward, the Lord has spoken to me that the lion will be present in every service. If you are coming to my single service, the moment I go on the pulpit to preach, there shall be a place or a container where you can drop your altar. Give it a name. Is it an altar for healing? Is it an altar for marriage? Is it an altar for a job? Is it an altar for promotion? Whatever it is, when I stand, run to the front and drop it, and you shall see the manifestation. You shall see how demons react to an altar. Any service that I'm going to do from now, the moment you see me standing in front of you about to preach, look for any container that is near me. Run there. Drop whatever you are thinking is an altar. Give it a name. If it's an altar against a spiritual husband, an altar against whatever is happening, or an altar for whatever you want, you shall see the hand of God. Check what then God says again to Gideon. It says, then build a proper kind of altar to the Lord your God on the top of this height, using the wood of the Asherah pole that you cut down. Offer the second bull as a burnt offering. Second bull. Tamumari. Depending nekuti imombe dzipi kana ari mabrahman tatom 2000. This is a man who has met an angel, a man who has had God's plan, but God's plan will not come to pass until and unless an altar to that effect is raised. You received the prophecy about marriage and you waited upon it without an altar. Up to this day, nothing has happened. Gideon had received a prophecy, and for it to come to pass, for the prophecy to become his reality, he needed to raise an altar. Here we see him offering the second bull. A bull cost 1,000, 2,000. Check what Balak offered to God so that he could curse or destroy the Israelites. He could stop them. 14,000 first day, 14,000 second day, 14,000 third day. If you multiply all of that, 14 by 3, how much is that? 3 days. That is the altar that was raised against Israel. Do you think the people against you are joking like you? They are not. Hear me, child of God. When it comes to altars, be serious about it. Don't listen to people who talk against them. And every, hear me, wese wakaipa, kwese, will rise up against you. Kada kutanga kuita zvema altars zvekupa mari kuchechi. Each time you take money and give, they will come after you. Why? The devil knows kuti ukaita altar wamukunda wadifita zvinhu zvake zvese. That's why amupopoterwe mukatsanya dedzera 150,000 days of prayer and fasting. No one will come. You won't see it on the internet. No one will go on TikTok to talk about that. They know it is limited. Dedzera kuti munhu wese uyane 150 mswe Saturday to raise my altars against poverty. It will be on internet. People will be saying, don't do that. Why? They know kuti zvavo hazizoshandi against you ukaita izve ma-altars. Anyway, kumba kwenyu, the first thing they say is, wakuita zvema prophets, wakuda kuchirwa mari manje. Yet kuchechi kwavo kunobhadharwa mari, but they know the revelation is not there. the revelation about altars. Saka if I tell you kuti uya nealtar, anoaffectwa nayo, anomiserwa zvinhu zvake zvaanga achita mari newe, anokurambidza kuuya nayo because anoziva kuti it will benefit you and disbenefit him. So don't listen to the devil. And some altars are so clever, they will affect you and cause you not to be interested, to be against this. I'm talking from experience myself. What has worked for me better are altars than prayers. I raise altars every day. Day randakarara kugomo ndichikunamatira about altars, I put on the altar 500 USD around 8 p.m. I gave 500 USD. The following day another. The following day another. That's how serious altars are. Without them you cannot win. Child of God, meet me in Masvingo. Don't miss that day. Altars will fall in Masvingo. Thank you.